upon where you're. Dr. Kia Pruitt, check in and let me know that you can hear me. It is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is Monday or Moon Day, May the 11th, 2026. And as you know, way through which energies can come in or energies could go out. So, welcome to May 11th. Happy family. Check in, let us know that you can hear us. Let us know where you're hailing from. I'm so happy to see 25 people in the chat. Please hit the like button as you enter the room. I do not see anybody. I can see that 25, the number 25, but I don't know if anybody can see me or hear me. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Please, can you say yes if you can hear me or no if you cannot? So I said I wasn't going to go live today. I told myself I needed to rest, but you can't hear me? You bought 315 ounces of silver when it was $17. Yes, family. So I see somebody put XRP in the chat. Listen, I said I wasn't going to go live, but I need to get you some silver. Okay. There's a reason they call me the silver goddess because I've been talking about silver for so long. Silver is very special to me. Okay. My great grandfather bequeathed silver to me and my brother when he passed in 1974. Let me tell you the story briefly, but get silver. When my great grandfather, Emmanuel Domingo Gomez, who had come from Colombia, passed away in 1974, there was a discussion about go to the funeral. My mom, in her wisdom, decided that she was not ready for us to see my great grandfather deceased in a coffin. So she decided to keep us home. The adults went to the funeral. When my mother, who was, if I was about six at the time, let's see, I was born in 68 or 74, I was six. My mom had me at 15. That means she was only about 21 years old, 21, 22. My mom made a decision she wasn't going to send me to the funeral, or my brother, who was 9 months younger than I. When she got back from the funeral, she held these beautiful purple bags, and some, like a deep blue, almost purple blue, tied with gold cords, small bags with fortunes in them. She handed the bags over to me and said, "Your great grandfather left these for you and your brother." I untied the cord to one of the bags, lifted one of the coins of silver, and I was amazed because something about that coin resonated with my inner person. I started vibrating my whole body at 6 years old. I remember this. I'll be 58 this year. I'm 57. My entire body started to vibrate. So I looked at the silver coin, then I put it on my forehead. I put it on my cheek. I put it on my chest. And all of a sudden, it was like something magical happened where I was responding to the silver and the silver was responding to me. I then looked into the bag of coins from which I got that one coin and I saw all these coins. And I could feel tears welling up in my eyes because at 6, I knew something was special about that silver. Something was special about my great grandfather who had not spoken a lick of English, but only spoke Spanish in the home, was now giving me something that connected us on a higher vibrational frequency. I was so ecstatic that my mom had told me that my great grandfather, we thought had come from Mexico, but had really later on come from India, left these to me. And I felt so overwhelmed with joy that my great grandfather had left me something. Years later, I never saw the coins. Bags and bags and bags of purple coins wrapped in purple and navy blue bags with gold cords. But I never forgot, even though time had passed, we never mentioned the silver again. And one day, I was invited to go to an online silver symposium that was hosted by Chris Marcus of Arcadia Economics. He's on YouTube, Chris Marcus. A group that I had started on Facebook about talking about foreign currencies and talking about, I'm just talking about it. Like this was like around 2017, I don't know. And I have been talking about silver and gold, and I've been talking about, just talking about and I'm talking about foreign currency. So one guy that was in the group said, "Hey, there's a silver symposium going on online. You should go." Nobody else in the group attended. I attended. I attended the group, the silver symposium that was online. You had uh, Miles Franklin, Precious Metals Company there. You had First Majestic, Chris Newmeyer, I think his name is Newmeyer, Keith Newmeyer from First Majestic. You had Andy Sheckman from Miles Franklin. You had other metals companies. You had Bill Holter there. You had all these big prominent names in the silver industry there and the gold industry. So it was online. I attended and I won 1 ounce of silver because I answered a question correctly. Chris Marcus, who hosted the show, sent me 1 silver coin. Let me tell you what happened. When a silver coin arrived in the mail, I unraveled the package, and all of a sudden I saw this coin that brought back memories from when I was 6 years old. I held the coin. I'm going to tell you, I picked it up, and all of a sudden I started having flashbacks. I'm telling you, silver is magical. It looked like this. This is the Indian head silver. I love this because I'm Indian. I'm Cherokee, Choctaw, and Blackfoot. So I get 1 ounce of silver coin. I hold it up. I see it. I have tears welling up in my eyes. I take the silver. I put it on my forehead like I'm 6 years old again. I put it on my cheek. I put it on my chest. And all of a sudden, tears fall from my eyes, streaming from my eyes. A river, an overflow of tears because now I'm 6 years old. And I can remember my great grandfather bequeathing silver to his great grandchildren. It's sunny here in Florida, so I'm going to put my sunglasses on if you don't mind. The tears start streaming down my face, and I pick up the phone and I call my mom. Mom, I just received 1 ounce of silver from a gentleman by the name of Chris Marcus from Arcadia Economics. He had a silver symposium, and I won 1 ounce of silver. My mom was like, "Congratulations." I said, "Mom, it brought back memories of when I was 6. What happened to the silver coins that grandfather Gomez left to us?" She said, "I want you to sit down if you're not sitting down and listen to me." She said, I don't want you to be upset. When your great grandfather passed, we had no idea he was a wealthy man. We had been raised in the projects. I was raised in the projects. That's where the poor people in Cleveland, Ohio, and other places, mainly minorities or Black people class Black live. It's crowded apartments that's owned and funded by the government. You don't have to pay but a few dollars to live there, or you can live there for free because you're so poor. And where we live, there was a fence built around our projects because they treated us, and they considered us like animals. And maybe some of us treated each other like that. Drugs were flooded in our community, guns going off all the time, gangs. My mom said, we grew up in abject poverty. Well, your great grandfather, when he came here from Colombia, didn't have a legitimate job. He sold moonshine, which is alcohol that was illegal. Because moonshine was illegal at the time, and there was a prohibition on alcohol, it was not allowed. He and his wife, who he had gotten when he came from Colombia, he married a woman from the Blackfoot off the reservation, a full-blooded Cherokee, a Blackfoot Indian woman that looked black because she was African American, but as so-called African American, she was Blackfoot. He married her. They sold moonshine and they had children. The government found out they were selling moonshine, so they sold their children into the orphanages. His two children. One of his children, Dolores, was my mother. My mother didn't know her father, your great grandfather, because she grew up in an orphanage. She was beaten, she was molested, she was raped, she was abused. Her brother was in a neighboring orphanage. He was beaten, he was molested by the nuns and the priests, no less. My mom said, when your grandmother got of age, my mother, she broke out of the orphanage, ran to the neighboring orphanage, took her brother out, and they escaped and ran from Cleveland, Ohio. They were almost adults because back then you weren't an adult till you were between 21 and 25. They ran from Cleveland, Ohio to Portsmouth, Ohio, where great grandfather had eventually migrated from Columbia to Cleveland. I don't know where. I think he must have gone to stop by Tennessee because that's where he got his wife from a reservation. Then back to Cleveland. They got in trouble with the law for selling moonshine. That their two children were taken away. He escaped, went to Portsmouth, Ohio, a small port town where there's ships and things going on there. He was still underground selling moonshine, the only way he could, in his mind, make money. We never knew who he was. My son actually did some research and found out later on, like just recently, who he was, about 5-6 years ago, who he is or was. When my mother, she said, went down to Portsmouth, Ohio to reunite with her father, your great grandfather, he couldn't speak. He spoke very broken English, almost none. She didn't understand him. He spoke Spanish, but she lived near him because she didn't know him. She only knew that was her father because she was removed from the home by the Catholics. I don't even know what that means. They put them in Catholic orphanages. The government and the Catholics were working together, kind of. She escaped and she moved down there. She started her life, but she really didn't know her father. Over time, he met a family called the Bendoffs in Portsmouth, Ohio. The Bendoffs said, we're going to make you legitimate. Stop selling moonshine. Work for the railroad, which back then was a company. I would encourage you all, this is spirit speaking now, to look into railroad companies that have bonds because some of those bonds have never been canceled and they will pay out at some particular time. I'm not a financial advisor. This is spirit speaking to me now. Some of you know of or connected to railroad bonds, oil companies, and other companies that have sold their debt, bonds that are out there that can be redeemed at a certain time by the United States Department of Treasury. Don't ask me where this is coming from. This is the spirit speaking. Get with whomever you trust financially, get with your ancestors, get with your elders, and ask about railroad bonds, government bonds, coal company bonds, mining bonds, the debt that was sold that have not been canceled. Some of them may still have certificates attached to them. This is spirit speaking. I've not spoken to you all about this, so I know this is spirit speaking. Mr. Bendoff came to my great grandfather and said, you're going to now work for the railroad so we can make you legitimate. My mom said over time, your great grandfather started accumulating wealth that we knew nothing about. Perhaps he came over here with wealth that we knew nothing about, because we always thought he went to Mexico because at some point in time, the story is, while he was in Cleveland, he went to jail and was deported to Mexico. Deported to Mexico, so they thought he was from Mexico, but somehow he ended up right back. I'm just telling you my story. When your great grandfather started accumulating wealth about which we knew nothing about, all we knew he was working for the railroad. He was a quiet man, austere man, very serious, very quiet. And the only thing you remember, Kia, and the only thing I remember about My grandfather, your great grandfather, is that he loved cooking by the stove. And you used to stand by his feet all the time while he was cooking by the stove. You were fascinated by him. You would grab his leg. You loved him. There was a connection between you and your great grandfather. I said, Mom, I remember looking up to him while he was cooking. He loved cooking for the family. He never spoke English in our presence, only Spanish, and he never taught us Spanish. When my mom, who had been living in Cleveland, got in, start having trouble because she couldn't financially live on her own, she moved to Portsmouth, Ohio, where her mother was and her grandfather was. She ended up in the projects. My grandmother was in the projects. We never knew grandfather had wealth. He would cook in the stove in one of his homes. We didn't even know he had more. He would cook in the stove on a home he had on Finley Street or Finley Avenue. I think it's Finley Street in Portsmouth, Ohio. Somebody, if anybody's from Portsmouth, let me know. It was a little house. Y'all remember Mr. Gomez? People thought he was mean. They said he was a mean man. He just didn't speak English. His granddaughter, most of you know, Dolores Gomez, was a short lady. They all thought she was part Mexican or full Mexican. She was Colombian. We didn't know. So Colombian and Blackfoot. So your great grandfather knew you had a connection to him, and he knew my mom said at the time, I had 2 kids. That's all. She said, I didn't know anything else about him except he used moonshine, now started working at the railroad, and he loved to cook for the entire family. Finley Street is right across the street from the projects where we live in Portsmouth, Ohio. We lived at one apartment. I can't remember the apartment we lived in. My grandma, Dolores Gomez, lived 1220 Farley Square, apartment D. You always remember where your grandparents live, because if your mama get on your nerves, you can run to granny or grand. We call my grandma Grammy, right? 1220 Farley Square, apartment D, Portsmouth, Ohio. Finley was right across the street. We used to go visit grandfather, my great grandfather, who would cook dinner. Well, over time, life happened. Grandfather died, and somebody found a will where grandfather said he was bequeathing the silver to his great grandchildren, Kia and Timothy Pruitt, Lolita Johnson's children, Lolita Johnson and David Pruitt's children. My mom said she had all these bags of silver coins. She didn't know what they meant. It was 1974. She didn't know this. We had come off the silver standard and the gold standard. She just thought they were some coins, some old coins, because now by this time they're using paper dollars. She just kept them, stored them in her crate. She eventually moved from Portsmouth, Ohio back to Cleveland. We joined the Nation of Islam because Mom was searching. We had been Catholic, Christian, Israelite. Well, I'm Israel by blood. Israel is Isis-Rael. We are that bloodline just by blood, right? But we had been in Hebrew churches, We at one time we even joined the Hare Krishnas, and we were going around. And I loved it. What I found out about the Hare Krishnas, we would go around singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm 6. And I still remember the Hare Krishna men running around, because we moved from Portsmouth to Cleveland, and in circles singing with these white clothes, talking about Krishna, Christ consciousness, and have a great awakening. But I'm 6. I don't know what they're talking about. We even visited the Science of the Mind church that said you can manifest things with your mind. That you are the Krishna, you are the Christ. You can manifest just by knowing that you are God. This was the Science of the Mind church taught us right after we was in Hare Krishna. So then we joined the Nation of Islam. In the Nation of Islam, they taught men to be leaders. They taught men to start their own businesses. They taught men to sell the Balania News, which was the newspaper of the Muslims at the time. They taught men discipline. They taught men if you are at a certain economic level, you can have up to 4 wives, but you have to take care of all 4 of them, treat them all equally, love them, respect them, and honor them. They taught the woman to cover their heads, to be modest, and to be submissive to the husband, meaning being yielding to the husband, not being disrespectful or not overrunning him. So I loved what we learned in the Nation of Islam. We learned to eat to live, to eat clean, to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. And at one point, we became vegan, then we became raw vegan. I was 6, 7, 8 years old. Then my mom put us in Muslim schools that was attached to the Nation of Islam, where we were separated from the boys. The boys had their classes, the girls had their classes, so that the sexes wouldn't intermix before they were ready. We were taught about discipline, structure, knowledge. By before I was 5, I was reading. I was an intellect, a brilliant scholar who was classified as a genius. My mom made my clothes. We ate fresh fruits and vegetables. The men sold fish. We had fish fries. We had community. We had our own community, our own way of doing things. My mom learned about marriage. She eventually got married after having children out of wedlock as a teenager. So there came a time to give offering. And they said, it's time for the people to give offering, just like at church, for all the knowledge and all the information that you've learned. We also learned that we're not Black. We learned that we are what they call us, the Asiatic. They call us Asiatic back then in the Nation of Islam. I didn't know anything about any scandals. My mom found out about scandals later on. That's why we left. But then our life kind of, we started going through a lot of ups and downs. We kind of went downhill after we left the Nation of Islam. But mom found her footing, and she found a Hebrew Pentecostal church where they could reinstill in us Hebrew ways, our Hebrew culture. But it's similar to Islam. It's very similar. Dietary laws, observing the Sabbath. The Muslims observe Friday. Hebrews observe Friday night and Saturday. Keeping your body clean, your life clean, being disciplined. A man and woman being married, having children. A man being a leader, the woman being his help that's meet for him, or his help. That's what a help meet is. A help that is aligned with him. So when they in the Nation of Islam, they say it's time to give. And my mom said, I don't have anything. I only have these dollars, and I have to pay the rent in the project apartment that we live now in Cleveland, Ohio, and I have these children. By this time, now I'm 7. She had my brother, me, and her another daughter, a third child, before she got married. So the ministers at the time say, give what you can, give what you have. My mom thinking that all I have is these silver coins that I buried somewhere when I was moving from Portsmouth, Ohio, back to Cleveland. So as I'm talking to my mom on the phone, I'm a full adult now. She said, I gave the coins. Please don't be upset. I had no idea. All I know is that I gave all I had. I was so grateful. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. I was so grateful for having been poor, unwed, in the projects, to a whole community teaching me to come off of welfare, eat clean, eat to live, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote the book called Eat to Live. Our whole life changed. I eventually was being courted by 2 Muslim men. One was wasting my time. They brought the men in one at a time. And the one, they asked, why didn't you marry this woman? And he said, well, I'm not ready. I'm not sure. The minister in the Nation of Islam dismissed him and said, you're now forever banned from dating her since you want to play with her life. He then brought another man that courted my mom, Omar Khayyam, and said, come into this room. I know you've been courting her. You've been interested. You've not touched her. You're interested. What are your intentions? He said, I want to marry her. I love her. I'll take care of her and her 3 children. And the minister said, then you 2 will marry. There won't be a long courtship. You will get married. They got married. We eventually moved out of the projects and had a better life. When I left the Nation of Islam and went to public schools, I skipped a grade. I was supposed to skip several grades, but my biological father said no, he didn't think that was a good idea. still let me have a relationship with our biological dad. Great relationship with my biological dad. I never took him to child support. I was like, take him. And when I got older, like, why did you take him to child support? Never had any problems with him or his side of the family. I'll be 58 this year. If there were problems about between her and my grandmother, I don't know about it. There were problems between her and my dad. I don't know about it. They were teenagers. She got mad. They got broke up. That's all I know. But she said, I gave the coins to the Nation of Islam when I had nothing else to give. I'm sorry. I said, Mom, I honor you for that. I honor you because I said, they probably knew the wealth that they had gotten. Okay. They understood that this was silver. We had just gotten off the silver standard and the gold standard, that this was still real lawful money. And I told her, I said, remember all the stuff I've been saying about silver? The bankers and these beings in power took us off the gold and silver standard and gave us fiat dollars that's backed by nothing while they held on to the wealth. Great grandfather knew that this was valuable. So he told you to give it to his great grandchildren because he had foresight. And he knew that his daughter didn't have the foresight. So my mom said, thank you for not being upset. I'm going to tell you more. I said, if he gave you all these bags of silver, Mom, I said, this silver is now worth, back then it was like, it was fluctuating between $14 and $17 an ounce when I was on the phone with my mom between 2018, 2020. I can't remember. 2017, 2018, somewhere around, it's like 14. It was fluctuating 14 to $17 an ounce. Mom, I said, Mom, silver and gold is going to go up at some point. It's fluctuating between 14 and $17 an ounce. When I held up that coin that I won from Arcadia Economics and I put it up to my forehead and my cheek and my chest, I said, I just started crying with tears. And I remembered my great grandfather leaving this to me. She said, sit down, because I got more to tell you. When he died, we found out he had 5 homes, at least 5 homes, silver and gold, over $150,000 in cash in 1974 when he died. He left it to his 2 children. She said, my mother and my brother. My mom talked her brother out of his inheritance because she said, you got married and you had a good life and you went on and you made something of yourself. I don't have nothing. He didn't know about all the wealth. Forgive me, Grandma Gomez. I love you, Grammy. Grammy liquidated the money, bought jewelry, enjoyed a good life all by herself. And within 5 years, ended right back in the projects. That's why you don't know about anything else than the projects, my mom said to me. We come from a wealthy bloodline. You come from a wealthy bloodline because everybody on the planet had wealth at some time. She said, I remember that your grandfather made between $100,000 and $150,000 is what he left in cash, because my mom said, I told myself I'm going to become a nurse and one day I'll make that salary. And in her lifetime, she has. But a nurse can work, but she had to work like a dog to do it. They work like double overtimes, triple overtimes. When she reached 6 figures, she called me. She was like, I made it, but I didn't know that was something internal. I was still finding my way as an adult because my mom didn't believe in like just giving folk. My mom still to this day don't believe in handed. She imparts wisdom and knowledge and information, and it's up to you to do something with it. But she never got the wealth. She still to this day don't know the wealth that her grandfather left for her. We only knew about the silver coins. What's the point of me telling the story? When I got that silver coin and I put it up to my forehead, my face, my chest, I could feel the magic. I had memories flood back to me about my great grandfather. Let me put this near the air. I remembered my great grandfather and how he had left me something. So after I talked to my mom, I said, Mom, I understand why you did it. I said, thank you for teaching me, because I watched you give to your religious organizations. I watched you do volunteer work. I watched you take in people with disabilities and work. I still remember one lady by the name of Asia that you called your daughter. She was a disabled girl that you connected with when you worked at a home, and you actually brought her around. She became my sister. And all your life, you've been doing working in medicine and healing people and taking nursing homes from 1 star to 5 star and golden stars and getting all these accolades. People never gave you your flowers, but Mom, I'm telling you, thank you for what you did. And you always gave back. My mom would then go and give to her religious institution. And I said, I'm grateful that you gave, because you taught me the value of giving. And I'm grateful you showed me those bags of silver coins, because you taught me two things: the importance of giving. When God or ancestors or source or anybody gives to you and you give back, it's an exchange of energy, and then it comes right back to you. Thank you, Mom. She said, you don't look at it like I gave our wealth away. I say, no, how, you didn't know. They didn't want us to know that silver and gold was wealth. But the memory from the silver, the magic, the energy from the silver connected with me. And I had flashbacks of my great grandfather. So here's what I want you to do today, family. I'm writing a book about this. And at some point it's being, it's going through the editing process right now. At some point I will give some people the book, and then I will, of course, sell the book as well. There is something very magical or powerful about silver and gold. Silver and gold is more than money. These are metals that have high vibrational frequencies. So this is what I want you to do. Everybody knows that I am an affiliate with Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, because what happened is I called Chris Marcus back up and I told him, thank you for that silver coin you gifted me that I won from the Silver Symposium. I want to follow you on YouTube. I'm going to learn as much as I can from you about silver. I've been studying on my own, but you are a professional in this. And so he said, I'm going to keep up with you. And we exchanged numbers, and we started talking, and we started, communicating. I met his girlfriend, Yara, and we just connected with some of his people on the phone or online. Then I did a video from my old YouTube channel about silver. And Chris Marcus called me one day and said, you're helping out your community. You're teaching them or reteaching or reminding them that silver and gold is money. So I'm going to connect you with Miles Franklin. He knew Andy Scheckman. Called him on the phone. First we talked to his wife, and then we talked to Andy. And he said, now I want you all to talk to each other, and you can become an affiliate. And that's how I became an affiliate with Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. So, of course, I'm going to give a plug if you're interested in silver and gold, but I'm going to go deeper than that. Call 952-929-7006, or you can send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. INFO at symbol, this is the email, INFO at symbol MILESFRANKLIN.com. You can tell them I want to spend this certain amount of money for silver or gold, or you can say I want to roll my retirement, my 401k or my 403b into a silver or gold IRA, or you can say I want to participate in a storage program. Anything. I want to get silver and gold. What do you recommend? Or you can say, send me your inventory, a list of your inventory, and get you some silver and or gold. Okay. But I'm gonna do you one better. Because if you go to Miles Franklin, make sure you say Dr. Kia Pruitt referred me, so you can get the best prices in the industry. They do have the best prices. And because they're connected to wholesalers, they can get the best prices. Whereas if you go at your local coin shop, it may cost you a little more. However, this is what I want to say. I encourage everybody to get at least 1 ounce of silver. You probably can't get only 1 ounce from Miles Franklin or from because that you need to get something that's worth them actually sending out. If you want to go to Miles Franklin, but at least everybody under the sound of my voice, at least get 1 ounce of silver. Go to your local coin company. Google right now, coin company near me, coin shop near me, numismatics, 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 Matics. Numismatics near me, those are collectibles, or a coin company near me, coin shop near me. Go in there, build up a relationship with your local coin dealer because they'll be giving you information. I have a relationship with my local coin dealer, even though I'm an affiliate with Miles Franklin, and I've joined silver companies. Mind you, I don't make a lot of money because I was a teacher and then I worked in higher education, but because I did not pledge and I wasn't a part of, this is where they recruit from. They recruit from Greek societies. I wasn't a part of Black Greek society. I wasn't a part of a white Greek society. I wasn't a part of any secret society. I came to understand why I wasn't allowed to elevate beyond a certain level. But God is always, and then I became disabled and I was not able to work for several years when I got extremely sick. So when I first started buying silver, I was on disability. A lot of people don't know that. So get 1 ounce of silver. It's $86 now. This weekend, yesterday, which was Sunday and Saturday, I practically begged people to get silver. I said, silver has dropped to $78 per ounce. I said, by 5:00 p.m. Sunday morning, it's going to be Monday morning on the other side of the world. But definitely by Monday, silver will go up. And I knew that for certainty. For one, they can't keep suppressing the price of gold and silver because the deep state has run out of power. And two, I saw the gas prices go back down. And my daughter had told me that she observed that there was a correlation between precious metals and gold and silver. So when I saw the gas prices that had gone up about 50 cents over a few days had now started going over the weekend, I said, silver's about to go up. So I got on my private group and I got on this main channel. I said, please get silver. It's between $78 and $79 fluctuating. It will go up by Monday. Today is $86. If you get 1 ounce of silver and it's $86 today, tomorrow it could be $89. It might go down, but they can't suppress it too much. They can't keep suppressing it because all across the world, countries have stopped trading with the dollar. So the dollar is losing its value and its purchasing power. And there's an economic principle. My son is an economist, Dex Lattimore. I brought him on the show several times, and I study economics as well. The economic principle is as the dollar loses its value and its purchasing power, gold and silver increase in value. Gold and silver is lawful money. Countries all over the world have stopped trading with silver and gold. They joined BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition. You have the Shanghai Corporation, the Asian nations. You have One Africa. Some of them have their own African Union, but many of them are not. Most of them by now have joined BRICS. Almost all of them have stopped trading with the dollar. They also dropped United States Treasury bonds, meaning they're not buying United States debt, the United States Incorporated anymore. So the dollar has lost its value. Most of its purchasing power in 2020 was gone anyway. It had lost 90% of its purchasing power in 2020 with all that money printing. So imagine now it's practically worthless. Silver and gold is going to increase in value. It's supposed to be going up in value. You should see that, but they're suppressing, they're holding it down, which is a blessing for us. But even if you don't want to get a lot of silver, because we've been talking about foreign currencies and we're going to have access to our trust, and we will. And this is a golden era and everybody's going to be wealthy. But I want you to get 1 ounce of silver. Hold on to it because that $86 will be worth hundreds, if not thousands. Silver will outperform gold. Gold is jewelry and money historically, but silver is gold, is jewelry, it's money historically. They use it in technology, it's used in all your electrical appliances, it's used in solar panels, it's used in medicine, it's used in medical equipment, it's used in a lot of the hidden, suppressed technology. So if Elon Musk and all these people, whoever, and all of these patents that have been suppressed from indigenous people, if somebody calls upon all of these things to be released, silver is going to go to the moon. We're talking about this on Moon Day or Monday. But beyond that, if you're depressed or your energy is low and you sleep with silver under under your head, under your pillow, or right next to your temple, or when my energy is low, I'll put silver in my bra, or I'll just hold it up to my chest and keep it there. Literally, I can feel my energy. I can feel the negative energy being sucked right out of my body, absorbed into the silver or something, and I can feel my vibrations raised immediately. Not with the plastic on it. I take it and I let my skin touch the silver. My great grandfather knew something, and he had the foresight to leave silver to me, and that memory came back. It came back when I was about 50, 49 or 50. And I started teaching silver. And I started talking about all the wealth being restored, which I had been talking about wealth leading up to that anyway, because I knew my life path number was an 8. And an 8 means wealth. It resonates. And when you look into numerology, you understand why they try to keep us from numerology, because 8 is a number of wealth and abundance, prosperity. It's my life path number. If you want to know your life number, add up the month, the date, and the year. So I'm born October 1st, 1968. That's 1 plus 0. That's the 10 month, plus 1. I was born on the 1st, plus 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8. 1 plus 0 is 1. The 10th month, 1 plus the first, plus 1. I was born on the 1st. That's 2. Now we get to 1968. Plus 1, that's 3. Plus 9 is 12. Plus 6 is 18. Plus 8, because we're now in 1968. 18 and 8 is 26. You take those two numbers, it's 26. These are things you're not really supposed to tell people, because people can use that information for the bad, but I'm heavily protected. 26. Now I'm down to 2 numbers. You add the 2 plus the 6, you get 8. Figure out your life path number. Look in a book of numerology, or you can go online, and that life path number tells you the trajectory of your life and what you should be focusing on and why you decided to come. Now, if you come out to an 11 or a 22 or a 33 or a 44, what they call prime numbers, you don't have to break it down. You can, but you can look up the prime number, what the meaning of the prime numbers are. So they try to keep us from numerology and astrology, because they knew, while they use it, the people in power, that this is something that our ancestors left for us, because those were the first alphabets, numbers, first symbols. You can create whole sigils, magical sigils or logos using numbers. You put it up on a wall or on a mirror, focus on it, you think about your vision. I did whole videos on how to create sigils, and you think about what you desire to manifest, and if you want to heighten it, you make love while you look at the sigil, or you make love to yourself. And when you're at the height of the ecstasy, when you're about to release, you have that thought in your mind, you have the release. This is how you expedite it. You let it go, and then you don't even focus on it anymore. You just know that whatever you thought about will manifest. That's sigil magic that ancient people used to do. I'm not telling people to practice magic. I'm telling you what used to happen. I'm telling you that the reason why some people can't stop going to Starbucks is because they did sigil magic using images from numbers and created symbols, or using our goddesses and ancient gods, goddesses, or whatever, beings and deities. And after they did certain rituals over them, they put them up. And that's why people keep going to Starbucks. That's why people go to McDonald's. That M represents money, but it represents something else that we don't even know about. The golden arches, they use gold. They use arches because we, the indigenous people here, had portals and doorways, and we used to have on some of our buildings and in front of some of our buildings. The Romans desecrated that, and they used to have sex with prostitutes underneath our arches. That's where the word fornication come from. Fornication just means sex beneath an arch. But they told you it meant sex outside of marriage. And me, that's what they told us. When these people overtook different dynasties, different bloodlines, they said you cannot have covenant relationships with anybody unless we control who you have covenant relationships with. So we're going to, in order to control the population, said the only way you can have sex is marriage. The only way you can do that is if you get a fuck license. Fornication under consent of the king. F-U-C-K. Didn't know that, did you? Some of you may have. Fornication under consent of the king. You had to apply for that license. And if the king approved, because that was happening over in Europe, if the king approved of it, then you can have sex. Then you can be married. Well, over time, these people that came from there brought their ways here. Some people call them the dirty Moors. They brought their European slaves with them. And they said, we're going to do what we did over there. But instead of calling it a FUCK license, fornication under consent of the king, because again, I told you, fornication just meant sex beneath the arch. So at their temples, they would take a temple prostitute, have sex beneath the arch to have magic, because women were known for being highly vibrational, having magic. We used to actually practice, some women practice sex magic. Having sex with some women will raise your frequencies. That's why men love going through women, because they get the energy from the woman, and that energy from the woman inspires them to go out to be the great man that they are. That's why some men can't control their penis, because they go from woman to woman to woman, not realizing that a lot of these women now are vampires. They don't have the between their legs that we vibrational women do. So they go from woman to woman to woman, but they get the right one, then they get the energy that they need. Haven't you heard Brown? What's his name? It's a man's world. What's his name? Mr. Brown. What's his first name? Sings it's a man's world. He talked about it's a man's world in his song and all his songs, but he does everything for a woman. And there's another song where he says a man is nothing without a woman, because men have sex with women because that energy literally gives them the strength that they need. Now they drain themselves when they have a release, but that woman, especially a high vibrational woman, can inspire him and give him the energy to be a better man. That's why men that have a lot of women feel good, because they have that goddess divine energy. So when these people would have sex beneath the arch with the temple prostitutes, they would really have superpowers. That's why they burned a lot of women, because the women literally knew how to use her vibration, even her blood magic, to manifest things. That's why everybody drinks blood today in the Christian church. They call our blood unclean and nasty, and if you're on your period, you can't come into the temple. In some churches still, or you can't come into the temple in the Bible. They called it dirty, and the woman was unclean. But we literally use our blood to manifest and to do rituals. That's why they start burning us up and calling us witches, and now they call us bitches, because these beings that came over here and usurped our power from the indigenous peoples, not just here but all over the planet, desecrated the woman and everything that she did, burned her alive, burned her to the stake after having sex with her and taking her power, telling us that our blood was filthy. Oh, the blood of Jesus, it washes white as snow. Power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There's power, power, wonder working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. That blood does now apply to Jesus. That story of the blood, because Jesus is Isis, there was no J. Isis. That blood from Jesus or Isis is the blood of Isis, the great mother, the woman. But they told us her blood is filthy, it's dirty. And sin is filthy as dirty rags. The menstrual cloth. But everybody knows that there's power in the yoni of the woman, just like there's power in the phallus of the man. But I'm talking about silver right now because silver correlates to the moon, and the moon and silver correlates to the woman. The divine mother, great mother, has returned. Isis, Ninti, Ninhursag, Nimna, who helped seed humanity on the planet, along with they talk about her brothers. She has returned because her children have been mistreated. So that is the great mother that has returned. That is the divine feminine energies. That's why I'm asking you to get 1 ounce of silver. If you can't get 1 ounce, get a half an ounce, get a quarter of an ounce, get a gram. Because the divine feminine energies that have now come back to this planet is balancing everything out. She has not come to usurp energy from the male principle. She has not come to usurp energy from the masculine. She has not come to outshine the sun. That's not her purpose. Her purpose is to bring balance, love, and peace, tranquility, to restore balance, to restore humanity, to restore nature. Remember, they used to say you can't fool Mother Nature. So fornication just means sex beneath the arch. Then they moved and they said, you got to get a FUCK license in order to get married. And then when they came over here, they transmuted that to a marriage license so that the state can make money. And it started in one state, and they started making a lot of money because so what they told indigenous people here is you can't do your rituals the way y'all used to just, some people would jump rooms, some people would just, tribes would come and, say you marrying this person right here, right from the tribe. We control you slaves now, you prisoners of war. You want to get married? We'll tell you that having sex to consummate the marriage according to your ways is against our Bible. It's fornication. It's sin. So you have to get a license from the state. And we're going to tell you that's what God wants. He wants you not to commit fornication. He wants you to get the FUCK license that now we call marriage license. Now, the first state that started that, some people say there were people that wanted to not only marry between the tribes, but they wanted to start marrying Caucasians, which was against the law. But somebody paid a high price to get the FUCK license in order to marry between the two races. These states started saying we can make a lot of money by telling these people that the only way they can have sex and enter into covenant relationships is to get a marriage license or a fuck license, a FUCK license from the state. We won't tell them that means that the state, the man and the woman are in a covenant binding legal agreement. And now we control both of them and their union and any children from their union and all of their assets. We're getting away from that because now the government is going to cease to exist. It's defunct. It's out of money. The Federal Reserve Central banking system is out of money. The United States Treasury Department already issued out a report stating that the government is broke. So now we're going to have to go back to our own covenant relationships the way we decide to do it. You'll be able to create your own covenant agreements. It would be like common law marriage or whatever. Because back in the day, you had sex, you were married. That's why they try to keep women virgins so that, she wouldn't have a lot of sex with a lot of people, because men, over time didn't want women that had been having sex. But let me tell you, before property or inheritance, HER, came through the woman. It didn't matter who her children were by. She can have children by different men because the land and inheritance was passed through her. It didn't matter who the children were by. She's always going to take care of her children. But when the Aryans in the Caucasus Mountains, they started taking over the woman, stealing her land. Chief Rod Hayes teaches about how they did that when they do Big Mama right here. But if you read When God Was a Woman by Marilyn Stone, and then you would read When God Was a Black Woman and Why She Isn't Now by Gibson, same story. And they cite a bunch of anthropologists, and I studied anthropology in undergrad school when I was going through social sciences. So the Aryans came out of the Caucasus Mountains and they started taking over different societies all across the lands on planet Earth. They decimated all the female gods because all nations had both a female god and a masculine god, but they all reverence Mother Goddess just as highly as Father God. Decimated all the female expressions of God. This is why women are going crazy now. We don't have anybody to look up to. All we know is the God of the Bible, who is angry, vengeful, full of war, jealous, believe in killing people. He'll kill up everything on the planet, or everything many multiple times, because the God of the Bible is literally an Elohim, possibly Enlil. When Enlil Enki seeded human beings here, or either they came and they enslaved the ones that were here, they taught us their religion, and they wanted one of them, I believe it was Enlil, wanted to be exalted as a god because he is a creator God. You don't have to believe in extraterrestrials, but we're going to meet them. So they taught us to reverence religion. They taught us religion. They taught us a lot of things. But we had a feminine and masculine expression of God. The Aryans decimated the female expression of God. They raped the women, unalived many of them because they hated women. I don't know. I don't think they were human. And then they put us in certain women. I mean, not us, because I don't remember it happening in my bloodline, but on certain places of the planet in small areas of their landmass, or on separate islands like Lesbos Islands. That's where the word lesbians come from, where it was just all women. They stole the land, they took the land, the inheritance, and they said, we're going to do marriage our way, where we're going to have a woman and control her womb and ensure that all the children that come from her womb belong only to us. And now we own her land and her womb, so that all the children that come through her belong to us. Same story Chief Rod Hayes talks about when he talks about how they overtook Big Mama's land right here, making us think the plantation was a place that the white man owned, which he did not. We own that. The European made us prisoners of war, but he always put a black man in front over the slaves. A black man who was one of the dirty Moors that colonized us and brought the so-called white European slaves over here to give them part of our inheritance, because it was a part of the war. Bring the Europeans over here, give them benefits, put them over to black people, make them think they're better, even though we taught them language, we taught them civilization, because we created them. They're a new race, the Caucasians. They know that. And we're going to create some Cabbage Patch Kids where we have these entities that we create without a womb. And now we know about NPCs. But we're going to bring them here, give them some benefits. I feel sorry for the colonists that came over here, because they didn't know they were colonists. All they knew is they were slaves. And they were under control of the Moors that had conquered. Moors, the original Europeans, are black anyway. They are indigenous. They got conquered by these so-called North African Moors that really aren't even human. They're human. They're not human. They're extraterrestrial beings. That's why they're completely black. They don't even look like us. Hailing from Northern Africa. They're not human. And the ones that are human hybrids because they made it with the woman. The Bible tells you about the fallen angels, the Nephilim, that angels that made love to really rape the women. And they had their children, and their children took over the planet along with the extraterrestrials. So these Moors are shape-shifting reptilian extraterrestrial beings that took over the indigenous people and conquered it from 711 to 1492. Now the Europeans, the Caucasian ones, the lighter complected ones that came about later on, they made them their slaves. The Renaissance was the time where they were teaching them language and how to bathe because they were a new race, how to take care of themselves, how to do their hair, all that culture. Then they brought them here and they took them other places to help conquer the lands. The dirty Moors are non-human beings, and they're human hybrids. And some of the humans now that have been grafted in through joining secret societies where they have sex with them and rituals and anal sex and have to be beaten by them. That's how they're grafted in and married in. Extraterrestrials, human hybrids, very few humans that have been grafted in. Most of them, the entertainers are not human. Most of them people, politicians that they put on the world stage, we think, oh, they're so human, but why do they drink blood? Why do they eat organs? Why are they unalive so many people? Why do they absorbing our energy? Why do they cause hell and war and chaos so we can emit energy when we became full of anxiety and depressed and stressed from paying all these taxes and hearing about war and unaliving of our people? Because we emit a psychic energy that they eat and absorb. The reason that is because they're not human. So they brought the Caucasians over here who are immigrants, gave them, allowed them to commit, have operate in commerce, gave them the 13 colonies, that's their number 13. Over time, told them they were better than the indigenous people here, lied to us all. Some of the Caucasians don't even know where they came from. Some of them do, some of them don't. Because when they were created, they were put in Europe, but that's not where they originated from. They might know where some of their ancestors got there, but a lot of them don't know where they came from. We know we sprung from the soil. They don't know. They have called me and messaged me. Can you tell us where white people come from? No, I cannot. Because it's not my job to tell somebody else where their bloodline comes from. They brought them here. It's an art of war. When you read Machiavelli, read The Prince. Machiavelli tells you you can conquer a landmass by either bringing in a military or a colony. When you bring in other people, your slaves, and you give them benefits, you give them food, you give them status, you give them wealth, they're going to be so grateful to you. They're going to do whatever their master tells them to do. Chief Rod Hayes told us when these entertainers would do blackface, oh my God, they're talking about us, they're making us. They weren't painting their face to be copper colored. The copper colored people are the ones that sprung from the soil here. They painted their face dark black to mimic the Moors and those extraterrestrial beings that brought them here. And they were speaking in code saying, we're not pulling the strings. We might be at the forefront, but we got a puppet master pulling the strings. We ain't the ones that own the plantation. Y'all own the plantation. That's why the black man is whipping your tail with a white face, riding around, looking around, making sure everything's going well on the plantation. But the black man is the nigga that's beating the niggas that's outside. You had a house nigga and you had the plantation nigga. Who was beating them? A black man, a brother who had joined the Boule or was related to the so-called dirty Moors, Moors, that came here from Europe. The blackface was the Caucasian telling us we ain't running nothing. There's a hidden hand. They live in their gated communities. Chief Rod Hayes taught us this. When you study anthropology, they don't tell you exactly like that, but they tell you men came out of area, they call them Aryans, the cave. They took the land from the women decimated the female gods, now created marriage their way, controlled her womb, and now everything, when he passed or all his wealth comes down through him. Then they created something called patriarchy, which really isn't patriarchy, because patriarchy and matriarchy is one of the laws of the universe. Look at my video I did today, this morning, on my YouTube channel. I said, these are the universal laws that control the universe. There are laws that control the universe. Use them. You can use universal laws to manifest anything in your reality. One of the universal laws, the first one, is that we're all one. We all come from source. Beings, animals, plants, insects, dirt, all from one source. And we're all going to return to source, the law of one. Another one is the law of genders, that you must have masculine and feminine both to work synergistically or in harmony with each other. So patriarchy was not supposed to work outside of matriarchy. It wasn't supposed to usurp the matriarchy. They were supposed to work in harmony with each other. Even though the first beings that were created looked more feminine, they both had masculine and feminine energy. But it was highly feminine because it was androgynous. And yes, parthenogenesis is the way we created or had children. Credo Mutwa also talked about this, South African shaman. Everything looked like feminine, looked like a woman, looked like a female, but it was androgynous. And then over a course of a time, they split and they became male or woman. That's why in the womb, the baby looks like a female. It will be decided in the womb if it wants to stay a female or turn into a male. The X gene is the dominant gene. The Y gene is the recessive gene. Men will tell you, we have egos. Our egos have to be a size. They'll make excuses for their behavior because not an excuse is the fact that they are the recessive. The female, the X, is the dominant. The Y is a debilitated X. It's part of the X that hasn't fully developed. You can get mad if you understand, but it's biology. In the womb, everything presents as a female. If it's decided that it will turn into a male, who makes the decision? Maybe the woman, I don't know, maybe the gods, maybe the ancestors, maybe the being itself. The vagina changes. The clitoris, if it's man, elongates and it becomes a penis. The ovaries inside of that baby drops and it becomes testicles. The nipples remain the same. Come on, somebody. When that child comes out as a male, it has a penis and it has testicles, which was the vagina and the ovaries, but it's still one and the same. The woman raises the daughter but coddles the son because intuitively and biologically and genetically, she knows that the man was to create it for two purposes, mainly one, and that was to protect us. Later on, it was for provision. But she protects him until he comes to an age through rites of passages, being with other males, where he learns how to be a warrior. Men were created for war. We, as androgynous female presenting beings, could not attack those other beings that were coming from other places on the earth plane. So ourselves created the male species to protect us. That's why men love women. They worship women. They came out of the womb. They do everything in their power to get back in the womb as many times as they can. It's in their blood. But they were created for war to protect us. But by nature, intuitively, because there are so many beings, especially here in America, that attack the Black man, the man classified as Black. Women, if they don't have the man beside her to teach him to become a man through certain rites of passages so he can protect the women, will coddle him. She knows he came out recessively with the Y chromosome, but she doesn't know that she cannot. He has it, or doesn't he have an X and a Y? The other men in the tribe have to put him through certain rites of passages to make him that man that he has to become to protect her and the tribe. The beings in power put soy in the projects, poison in the products, poison in the food, poison in the car, the vibrational frequencies to disturb his testicles and his genitals so he can't produce. They attack him on every level so he can't protect us. And we coddle him, unbeknownst to us, not realizing he's here to protect us. That's not our job. But intuitively, we do that because we know about that Y gene that exists in him, and we're trying to compensate for that. But you cannot. He has to go through rites of passages with the other men in order to become men. They took away our rites of passages and got us in their schools for programming. They brought the Europeans here, but I bet there were probably brought more people here before that we don't know about. But we've had so many resets we don't remember where they destroyed the whole human race. They're trying to get to you and me. If you identify or have any blood of indigenous, autogenous people here in America from which everything started, they're going after you. I don't care if you look white. If you have indigenous blood in you, all it takes is one drop. That's where the one drop rule really came from. They know your bloodline. They know who you are. So they bring immigrant after immigrant here, take the wealth from us, to take the power that was left here. We sprung from the soil here. We're connected to the land. And we're activated by the sun. It all works together. And even the water. The water is the source of life. The water, the air, the land, air, water is law. It's connected to us indigenous peoples all across the planet. So these beings that are here want to take over. So they bring immigrant after immigrant, not just to vote, but to steal your inheritance and your bloodline. So they can completely decimate you, unalive you, because you won't die. You keep multiplying. To desecrate you, to get you so despondent, get all these immigrants here, making them think they're better than you. Remember white supremacy? You're better. The black person has a small pea-sized brain. Your brain is bigger. And through Darwinism, the law of the fittest, you Caucasians will survive or out-survive the so-called black man. Everything's in reverse. How can you out-survive a place where the sun is beaming? The sun literally attacks certain genetics, but it activates the people that sprung from the soil. Even if you present as Caucasian, if you got that blood in you from the indigenous peoples, you still have a higher chance of surviving than the Aryans. But they brought white supremacy. They created that ideology. They brought them here. You're better. Survival of the fittest. But the sun is the telltale indicator of who's the fittest, because some die with the sun, become sick, get poisoned from the sun. Others are activated. The indigenous people are being activated. They've awakened. They know who they are. They know they were lied to. We didn't come from Africa. The Africans, some of them were seeded there from other entities, from other places on the earth plane. Others of them originated here and migrated outward through the great earthquake. That Pangea that split apart the earthquake, people started running to different parts of the plane, the earth, planet, plane, ET, planet. Meanwhile, beings came from beyond the ice walls and other places beyond this earth plane, other planets, and they came here and they made it with them. They continue to bring immigrants here, tell them you're better. We'll give you some benefits. We'll give you some silver, some gold. We'll give you access to their trust. We'll give you loans. We'll give you businesses. And now in their arrogance, they thought they were better than us. But the sleeping giants have awakened. The ancestors have returned. Big Mama is back and Big Papa. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Wave your hands in the air. If you's a true player, is what Biggie said. Big Papa has come back, but Big Mama has said, I'm not going to let you run roughshod all over my children, because you and all your little buddies have done damage to the so-called human race, the animal kingdom, the insects, the earth plane. You cause so much damage with the low vibrational energies and frequencies and unaliving of people and wars and bloodshed that all the other planets around, all the other planets outside of the earth plane, beyond the ice walls and everywhere has been affected. So the Galactic Federation has returned and said it's time for us to wake up those gods that y'all call black folks, the indigenous all over the planet. They have to come to, they have a seat at our table now that y'all went to the earth plane and decided you're going to tamper with their genetics and create some of them using our genetics. They have a seat at the table at the Galactic Federation. No more wars, no more bloodshed, no more taking their organs. We're going to wake them up. We're going to make the sun hotter. No more can y'all do chemtrails and all this stuff y'all trying to do to cover up the sun so you won't activate them. We're going to make it hotter. We're going to create a second sun. We're going to have an inner earth sun because some of these beings are trying to hide inner earth and underneath the ground. But we're going to put a sun there so we can burn out and purge out everything that tried to stop the beings that are on the earth plane that were supposed to be the stewards of the earth. We're going to wake them up. So the immigrants that were here, some of them, most of them, they knew. They knew. That's why they were told to stay away from black people. And now they're telling the truth on platforms. We thought we were better than the blacks. We thought we had close proximity to the whites. We thought we were just right beneath the whites. And some of us bleached our skin and blonde our hair. And we did everything we could to be classified as white. We even have white status when we come over here automatically. But we want to be close proximity to the whites so we can be above the blacks, not go in their community unless we're starting a business to exploit them and extrapolate their money and their resources. They were brought here to take over, to feed their bloodline. And they knew it, many of them. That's why they say they're better than you. They work harder than you. You're lazy. They didn't fight for your causes, but they asked you to help fight their causes. Their time is up. The beings, it's not just a deep state, it's a whole galactic group that took over the whole earth and all the indigenous people. Why do you think so-called black people are suppressed every place on the planet? Because they are the original beings. They created new races and they put them over the indigenous people. Then they had Cabbage Patch children that were literally grown in patches or in test tubes. And they have the non-player characters. Chief Max said, you're going in. Non-player characters to control the earth plane. Thank you, Chief. I actually sent the link in case you were going to come. Try to send you a link, but I couldn't. Non-player characters and immigrants they were trying to take over, feed their bloodline, send their money back home to take care of their landmass from which they sprung. Either they sprung from there or they end up migrating there. And then these beings that had controlled us, if they could kill us out enough, would then control them or secure and broker deals with them. But their time is up. They only had a limited amount of time to do so. It's over. Whatever contractual agreements those beings had with presidents, it's over. So immigrants are now having to go back home. They're being deported. And you will hear people say, nobody controls the land because they want to control the land that your ancestors left for you. You know, the land doesn't belong to us. We belong to the land. We sprung from the land, but we are stewards of the land. And even when, thank you for sending me a Cash App blessing. Thank you, Chief Mac. Thank you, Chief Mac. I tried to send you a link. I couldn't. Even when all these people get deported out of here, a remnant of them will be allowed to remain and we'll do business together, but they'll still have to go by our law, tribal law. Even then, we're going to have some type of border protection because you can't allow any and everybody to come into your landmass. You can't let every tribe and every person and every bloodline and every entity infiltrate your mass, because they'll try to overtake and control your culture, your people, rape your women, control your children, control your resources, steal your land, and take over, which is what they did. We've always had some way of protecting our tribes and our borders. It's just that we can't have the enemy, the so-called deep state, to control our borders. We'll control our own. We're not going to allow everybody to come over here. That's stupid. It's foolish because everybody doesn't have your best interest at heart. Because when all those people came here, they exploited the indigenous, autogenous, so-called African-American, black, colored Negro. They exploited him or her, took advantage of him. They hate the men, but they try to get in close proximity with the women because they want to have sex with them. Don't play with us. So no, we won't have open borders where everybody named Mammy and Pappy and greasy grandmammy and aunts and uncles and sisters can come, and all these beings masquerading as human can come. The only people that want open borders are the people that's it's in their bloodline to conquer and to take over something that belongs to somebody else. You can roam freely within reason, but everybody wants to protect what's theirs. If you believe in no and completely lax borders, then keep your doors open. If you believe everybody should be able to roam wherever they are, unlock your doors on your car, unlock your house doors, keep your windows up, have all your doors swung open. If you really believe in open borders, and do that for the rest of your life. Now, you will be able to travel within reason. You'll be able to state what your purpose is. When you go to Africa, the first thing they ask you when you go to Ghana is, what is your business? Why are you here? How long will you be here? Even though we're saying that at some point we'll be able to move more freely, you're still going to have some rules, because I don't want anybody infiltrating my tribe, bringing their ways, because a lot of us had indigenous ways that worked for us. Now we've taken on the ways that the dirty Moors brought with the new race of colonists that they brought over here, that they had just civilized through the Renaissance period. They brought their ways over here that was not our ways. We didn't do oral sex or anal sex. That's some stuff that even in nature they don't do. Acting like something beyond wild animals. Now people do it now, and it's become part of the culture, and it's become, everybody likes it. Anal sex is still considered, what's the word? Unnatural. People do it, men and women do it. But when you have sex through the back door, you are literally going through a portal that you're not supposed to enter. This is the way through rituals, through the boule, through the secret societies, through the Greek societies, through all the Freemasonic societies. This is the way they're able to fracture people and control them through anal sex, because you're going through a portal you're not supposed to go through. And then that fractures people's personalities, especially children. They become something they're not. Some people become psychotic. Children develop multiple personalities, and then through anal sex, they start to compartmentalize the pain, and now their brain fractures into different places and they become different personalities, and now you can send them on missions through one of those personalities. Anal sex is a ritual that's not meant for the indigenous, autogenous people. Stop it. Cut it out. Cut it out. You learn that from beasts that weren't even human. They're not even, I don't even want to call them beasts. They're extraterrestrial, non-terrestrial beings. When you have open borders And you bring other cultures here because, see, they put that in other cultures and told them that was normal. And then those other cultures brought that to you and your people. Ain't no sex. Beating up the woman while you're having sex with her, talking about, I'm going to knock it out, I'm going to beat it out of the box, pulling her by the hair. People used to make love. You got that from pornography. And something in us, that animal instinct in us, that a woman sometimes want to be conquered. But practically beating up a woman, all this forceful sex, banging her out, she doesn't enjoy it. She tells you that it's good because she don't want to lose you, or because she's been conditioned to think this is the way you're supposed to have sex. In other cultures, men are taught the intricacies, of a woman's vagina, how the veins are, how you touch her in a certain way, how you give her a certain clitoral orgasm. They're taught how to rub her feet. They're taught how to speak to her, talk to her, massage her, make love to her in such a way that she can have multiple children. I hope your children aren't listening to this. She can be pleased. 80% of women do not and never had an orgasm because men have been taught to beat it, knock it, bang it, do whatever. Additionally, they've been circumcised, so now their phallus has no sensation, so they got to keep beating to get a sensation. That is not our way. When you allow everybody and their mammy and pappy to come over to your borders, they teach their ways to you. They put pornography in there, and now you have insatiable desires. You don't want one woman, you want multiple. Now, in indigenous tribes, you could have more than one wife as long as you could provide for all of them the same. And as long as the great mothers in your tribe put you together and made sure that you were man enough, warrior enough to take care of all those children. Now you just want to run through a bunch of women because you were taught that that was right. Now you want to have sex with a bunch of men, not realizing you're absorbing all his different energies because the enemy taught you that through the programming in the schools, telling you need to have protective sex. So we're going to give you condom before you even knew what sex was. Through their education, through their programming, through their entertainment system, through their pornography, most men in church and everywhere on the planet are addicted to pornography. So they can't be satisfied by the wife, the woman into which they enter covenant. They want her to do all these rituals that they seen these beasts do on the television, not even realizing that a lot of women that's in the porn industry are actually women that have been trafficked, brought into it. Even when you teach people that, they'll still look at porn because they're addicted. That's not our tribal way. It's something that was taught to you by the enemy that came over here and conquered your lands. Knock it off. Stop watching pornography. Turn it off. That's why you're not satisfied with your wife. It's not because she made you mad or she burnt your toast. It's because you have an insatiable desire to do ungodly, unnatural things that's against your genetics and your tribal ways. Women, stop sleeping and laying with everything. Stop tatting up all your body, putting all these prints and stuff. Knock it off. It is not the tribal way. We had tribal ways where we might have cut ourselves or done certain things, but there was a reason behind it. Now, when people do that, they're now coming out and saying there's something called black goo, a living thing that they're putting inside of you when they tat up your body. And if you want to get down to the wire, if you want to enter into a covenant relationship with a man that really wants to honor you as his goddess, honor you as his precious vase that he can put up on a pedestal, he don't want a woman full of ink. He don't want a woman that brags about sleeping with a bunch of men. He doesn't want a woman that's running around uncovered and bragging about it. He doesn't want a boss chick. He doesn't want a bitch. He doesn't want that. You can say you don't care today, but tomorrow you will care. Because the high value man, the man, high quality, I'm not even going to say high value, high quality man that wants to take care of a woman does not want a woman with the same energy as a man. Neither does he want a woman that looks like a warrior by having all these marks all over her body. Neither does he want a woman that parades all her goods for every man to see. Neither does he want a woman that can't listen to him when he's trying to give her wisdom that the gods and the ancestors and his bloodline has imparted to him to give to you so that you can be on one level and so that you can have one vision to raise the children that's coming from his loins and your womb. Knock it off. Stop going to the parties. Stop doing these women trips. Stop doing this smoking and drinking and all this stuff. Knock it off if you are wanting to be an honorable goddess that is highly regarded by the man who will step up to cover you. If you're a man, stop watching porn because it's infiltrating your mind so that woman that you decide to be in the covenant with, she won't be enough. And you'll start wanting her to act like the women we told you and your bloodline told you to stay away from a long time ago, but you kept doing it. And those are the same women, as soon as they get mad at you, they say you raped them and have you hauled off into prison. Now we got our women acting like them. That's why you got to close your borders, because now even the immigrants that are coming over here are doing what Becky used to do and saying you raped her or you abused her and locking you up. The immigrant women are doing that, and now our women, indigenous, doing it because we got open borders and they're teaching the women our ways, and we got them in their schools. You don't want your children to act like animals? You don't know why they acting up? You claim they don't act like this? The way they act at school, they don't act at home? You want to have control over them? Control yourself, control your mind, control your behavior, control your thoughts, control what you wear, control your attitude, control what you put on your body, control what you listen to, control what comes through your eyes. As Chief Mack always says, your eyes are a recorder. Control yourself, gain control of yourself. We've gotten out of control, and then control your children and take them out of schools and educate them yourselves and have your tribe to educate them, because the enemy is educating our children. No, you can't have open borders. We've been infiltrated by everybody from every bloodline trying to take control and controlling our bloodline. Many people have to go back home, and it's a good thing. It ain't, I don't know why they crying. It ain't like somebody saying go to Mars, go under the earth. Nobody's saying go to another planet, and go to the land of your ancestors. This is how I know your motive wasn't right. Your motive was to come over here and take something that belonged to somebody else and to feed yourself and your bloodline. And the enemy that colonized or controlled the American, the indigenous people all across the globe, allowed the borders to be open while they sit back and laugh. So everybody has to go back to their land. Wake up, Jacob. Wake up. Whoever, wake up, whatever your bloodline is. I'm speaking to you directly in your soul. Wake up. Stop acting like an animal. Stop acting like the enemy or the beings that came here or these people with their strange ways. Your mother told you not to mess with them strange women. Women that's not from your bloodline. Your mother told you not to mess with a woman from another all across this. She might even told you not to mess with the woman right next door. Because when you marry strange women, they teach your children about their strange just mean different ways, different cultures. I'm not against intro nothing marriage, interracial, interculture. No, I think people do what they need to do. But you need to go to your mother and the elders and ask them, will this person have my best interest at heart? Can this person marry into my bloodline and assimilate? Because just like y'all want immigrants to come over here and assimilate to your culture and learn to speak your language, it's the same in marriage. The people who marry into your family need to learn how to assimilate to your family. This is why a lot of women don't want you to listen to your mothers. Listen to me, men. Women will come up with a reason to fight with your mother. They'll pick and nick and pick and nick and make up excuses for why they don't like your mother, because your mother has power and your mother is the one who's going to tell you whether or not this is a good fit for you and her grandchildren and the bloodline. The mother, whether it's a mama or grandma, an elder in your family, is going to correct these women and check them. Women have gotten so out of control, they want you to choose between you and your mama. Now, what kind of evil, wicked, sick perversion is that? I don't care if the Bible says it. Leave your mother and forsake father and cleave to your wife. That's asinine. Because if it's just you and your wife alone, you're going to suffer and struggle and try to figure out life. That's why our children are all rushed out. That's why our elders are in homes. Who rewrote the Bible? Who took over the Bible? What did they do in the Council of Nicaea in 325? Was 325? 325. They rewrote things. Men, don't take these women complete, all your wife all the way around the world, all across to another city or another state, because she needs her family to support her. She needs somebody. She needs her tribe or your tribe if she can assimilate. But men, I'm talking to you. Women are on this thing where they saying they don't like mama's boys, or they don't like men that are attached to their mother. Man, maybe men are too attached. I don't know. But this is coded messages for, I want to get him to myself so that I can control him. I'm telling you. And it's just something in a woman where she wants to be number one. Why can't you love your mama and your wife the same? If you really want to be honest about it, I don't see how you can love anybody over your mama, because women come and go. Your mama doesn't. Even if your mother has psychological issues, you need to be running certain things past your mother, like who you going to enter into a covenant relationship and have children with. And women need to be talking to their elders too. Even if your father, you might not even have a good relationship with your father. He might be on drugs. He might be on the other side of town. You need to reconnect with your father so you can have some type of covering. And you need to run the man that you're going to lay down with and make babies with past your daddy. Because men can see men, they can see his spirit, and they know if he just wants to take advantage of you or if he really wants to provide and protect you, provide for and protect you. But now we got cancel culture. I don't like my mom. I don't like my dad. She upset me. Even if she did something that was hurtful, or your daddy did something, as much as you can, try to repair those relationships. Let's bring the tribes back together. The tribe is the family. That's it. Bring the family back together. We've been splintered. And when you're splintered, now the elders are in nursing homes, they can unalive them or mistreat them, which they're doing. We all know this by now, right? Let's not play like we don't know. If your children are way up at college, they become whores because the men start to run through them and they see them as young flesh, young meat. Let's just be honest. I worked at college universities. You know what they do? The men come from campus and they come from out their apartments outside of campus, and they come the freshman week to pick out which one of your daughters they go talk into an easy sexual relationship. And then the Black Greek societies and the white Greek societies want to encourage your little girls to pledge in their female sororities so that they can go through their rites of passage, which means that they might get run through by the men. You want your little daughters to be whores? Send them away. You want your boys to learn from all these other young men who have not matured in their manhood? Send them away before they're ready. The brain does not fully mature to make good decisions until it's 25. You psychologists know that out there. You biologists know that out there. 25. 18 is too young. That's why in other cultures, they don't send them away. Now they send them to America. Oh yeah. They got something called DACA, deferred action something for children, where these immigrants send children over here to become citizens and they're protected against being deported. Did y'all know that? I'm just learning this. They don't care if they're 5, 10, 6, 2, 3, 1 month old. Send them to America and they're protected through something called DACA. And they were protected against deportations. So they can come here, learn the ways, get your little minority scholarships, have access to your trust because you are the indigenous people. You are the credit on the land as they grow up. They also propagandize them through their schools, tell them they're better than, now you're an American, which they're not, they're citizens. United States government grants citizenship and privilege. Not, you're not an American. You're legal, not lawful. So they were here sending off their children. Most tribes won't do that because they know their children are ready, but they'll do it now. They'll sacrifice their children to come over here and take what belongs to us. Then they can come here through their children and they become the politicians, and they that now that the children are growing up, and then they still are what belongs to us by proxy through their children who now have citizenship and protected through DACA. But now Trump and really the military, the Galactic Federation, they're overturning all that. No more protected status, no more DACA protecting you if you came over here as a child. Now they're crying, oh, I've been here since I was 5 and now I'm 20. I don't want to go back home. I want to stay here. I'm an American. No, you're a citizen who is protected, an immigrant who is protected through DACA. We hope you enjoyed your stay. We did not invite you. The government invited you. They trained you. They taught you. They educated and propagandized you and gave you access to a lot of our wealth and put you in close proximity to them. Now you're not quite. They all come over here with white status that they don't classify as black. They check off white or something else other than black. And we don't care. Now, everything you learned, you can go back to your home. But all this is being overturned. And they're like, I should be able to stay. I'm an American. You're not. You're a citizen. When the deep state, the government folds, the one that granted you the privilege of calling yourself a citizenship, now that it's collapsed, everything that it gave you has to end. This is just the long and the short of it. It's straight no chaser. Nothing. Just giving you the true, honest facts that somebody has to tell you. The people in power, the liberals, they want to placate you, pacify you, play patty cake, baker, man. Roll them up, throw them in as quickly as you can. I'm going to give it to you straight, no chaser. You're not an American. You're a United States citizen. You were granted privileges through the United States Corporation that incorporated itself in 1871. It is now over. Charles III, King Charles came over here and gave a speech to President Trump to let him know, you guys, the United States of America is now free from British control, which you were free a long time ago. But this is the ritual that I must do because this is what we agreed to. Then Trump, after you completely obliterate or take down the corporation, now you're no longer attached to Britain. When it's over, you got to give everything back to the indigenous people. This is why the Gullah Geechee has won their land back. The Gullah Geechee, a tribe here in South Africa that's been fighting that from with these other beings, people that stole their land, stole their resources, getting it back. This is why even the indigenous people in Zimbabwe, they're getting their land back. That the white farmers didn't steal it. They had an agreement. People don't know this. The agreement was up. That's why the land was taken from the white farmers. When you are on somebody else's land and you so-called buy the land, you are leasing the land. You can only lease it up to 99 years. I don't care if you call yourself a farmer, a governor, an entertainer, or a politician, a billionaire, whatever. You are on a lease agreement. The contracts are up. The farmers in Zimbabwe got their land back. The Gullah Geechee got their land back. Other people, other indigenous tribes are getting their land back because what we said is the truth. Everything is being returned back to the chiefs on the land. Everybody else need to go back home. So when everything is turned back to the people of their land, they can enjoy the freedoms, the liberties, and the sovereignty and wealth that comes with the land rights and the birth rights and the blood rights there. I got on that when I was saying you don't send your children away to learn to the ways of your enemy. If you want people to get a higher education, we're moving to a time now where they can learn right at home, or they can maybe go to a school right in your back door, right out your back door, somewhere where you can go visit your children. Because when we send our children away, mine went to college at the school that I worked at. The college that I worked at. I gave them an illusion of choice, and then I called up all of the recruiters that were my friends. I made friends with recruiters, and I said, in the university in which I work, the university in which I work, and then back then the university was studying the universe. And I said, recruit my children and let them know about all the scholarships, academic scholarships they're going to get because they graduated beyond a 4.0. I made sure of it. I put them in advanced classes and I sat with them and actually did homework with them and studied with them. I pulled them out of public. When they were in public schools, I volunteered there. I was there eating lunch with them and volunteering in the classroom. And then we pulled them out. We started our own school. My husband's sister started a school. We didn't have a lot of money. We started right in her basement. Then we moved to the YMCA. Then her brother, my brother-in-law, Derek, had excellent credit. He bought a church, a building, so we could worship and we could start our school and daycare in there. So we moved from her basement to the Y, then to the my brother-in-law bought. And we just took the knowledge that we had and we educated our own children. We did educate them reading, writing, and arithmetic, but then we took them a step further and said, you're going to learn our culture. You're not going to learn his story. You're going to learn our story. You're going to learn the story of your indigenous people and the culture of this family. In this family, we take care of each other. We listen to the elders and we obey the rules. If you decide to be in a covenant relationship with somebody and they can't get down with the rules, we gonna look at you cross-eyed. And eventually it's not gonna work. This is why a lot of women do not want the men to be close to their mother. They want to compete with them. Don't let a woman pull you away from your mother. That's sick. These women have gotten out of control because they don't have the father in the home, or however, I don't know what it is, or maybe the propaganda. They want all the attention on them. It's a woman's nature to like attention, but they want everything on them. They want to control what you eat as a man, where you go, how you think, who you hang out with, how you spending time with your mama. Did you do this with your family? What about me? Did you give me a birthday gift? Did you give me a Mother's Day gift? This one ain't enough. Did you remember me on Valentine's Day? Did you remember me on this day? Stuff, as if you're not providing all year round. Propaganda. I left my husband because he didn't give me a Valentine's Day gift. I literally heard a woman say that. Attention seekers. She done pulled you away from your mama. Try to control how much time you hang out with your boys while she goes on girl trips and drinks and do everything because you know you can't say nothing to women. You are enslaving her. The patriarchy is controlling. Yeah, I don't like the patriarchy. It's they got all kind of words for patriarchy now. They got another word, sick patriarchy, evil, some kind of word they attach to patriarchy. Just because the man don't want you out here being loose and drinking. Don't let a woman keep you away from your mother. Women are supposed to be a certain way. According to your tribe, you know how the woman ought to be. That's why you're supposed to marry within the tribe. If you marry across tribes, the two tribes should have an agreement with each other, the families. You don't marry one person, you marry the family. The children have both of you. The tribal way. If this is going over your head, I ain't speaking to you. I'm speaking to the people in the tribe who wants to bring back the family and bring back order in the tribe according to the indigenous cultures. The elders should be able to confirm if this is the right woman for you, if this is the right man for you. So we elders need to get our minds right. Bring back order. Thank you for the gift so that we can instruct our children. And the babies must be protected at all costs because they're doing all kind of heinous things to their babies. Protect them. We don't know what's happening in their schools. We don't know the rituals they're practicing over their schools. We don't know what's in the food because the food in America, I don't know about abroad, it's controlled by and issued out by the Department of Defense. Let that sink in. So we don't know what's going on. We don't know who they're playing with. Watch them. But it starts by controlling yourself. Turn off the television, turn off the propaganda, okay? Surround yourself with high vibrational people, high vibrational music. Get you some silver. I love silver. Gold might be in your budget or it may not be. If you can get gold too. There's something magical about silver. What I mean by that is there are frequencies in silver and gold. This is why we have receptors in our brain. Now, if you Google it, they'll try to say, no, you don't have silver receptors in your brain, but you do. This is why that's why they use silver in their medical technology. They actually have silver in the technology that they use to fight against brain-eating amoebas. During the pandemic that shut down the world, people were taking monoatomic and colloidal silver because it protects you against the virus. Silver and gold are high vibrational frequencies. That's why we wore silver and gold jewelry. That's why we had it around us and adorned us with it. That's why we drank out of goblets and cups, gold and copper, and we use real silverware. They took that away from us, not just because it's wealth, because it has high vibrational frequencies and it awakens something in you. So if you can, go to your local coin shop. If you have $86, buy an ounce. If you don't have half an ounce, buy a quarter of an ounce, buy a gram, just buy one, even if it's just 1 gram. And I want you to put that in your hand and I want you to look at it and I want you to spend time with it and see if that doesn't resonate with you. Then I want you to come back and under the comment section, tell us what happened when you bought one or more ounces of silver and you put it on your body or held it in your hand. If everybody buys 1 ounce of silver, we will collapse their financial system because we're done with dollars. But I'm not even asking you to do it for that. I'm asking you to do it for yourself. There are frequencies in silver, gold too, but especially silver. Silver is underrated, is not used in as many things as gold. I mean, no, excuse me. It is not considered as valuable as gold, but it is used in more things than gold. It's in your catalytic convertible. It's in your refrigerator, your stove, different parts of your car, your cell phone from which I'm speaking, your microwave oven, your computer, your washing and dryer machine, your solar panels. It's in the nuclear warheads. It's in the advanced technology. It'll be in the med beds. They're going to have a run on silver and you will have some. But I want you to be ahead of the game, not just for wealth. Silver and gold are wealth, but I want you to resonate on a high vibrational frequency so you can get foresight into what it's going to be like in your new reality. So let's usher in the golden age and the silver age ahead of time. Let's manifest it by getting whatever we can and putting it around us because silver speaks to itself. Do you know that there's an ancient saying that if you lose silver, it finds its way to the person it's supposed to go to next? It finds its way. It's sentient. So get some. You can call an online dealer. I've left my information about Miles Franklin, 952-929-7006, or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. But there's AppMex, SD Bullion, JM Bullion, Great American Coin Company, Metals, Money, something or another. Lots of different companies. eBay, but I would be a little leery about eBay because you don't know if it's real or not. Not, I wouldn't be leery. I don't get it from you. You can, but it should come with a certificate of authenticity. You can get foreign currencies from there too. You can get foreign currencies from some of your local coin shops, from antique shops, pawn shops, or online dealers. So My homework assignment for anybody who just want to try this out, try out this exercise, go out and buy 1 ounce of silver, $86, or cut that in half, get a half ounce, get what you can afford, and let's do an experiment and let's sit with it for a full day. And then we're going to come back if you want to and report what happens. If you don't want to report it to the soul tribe, talk to your family about it. I'm telling you, once you get an ounce of silver in your hand, you can feel the know that there's a reason they took it from you. There's a difference between holding paper in your hand and real silver. It's heavy. It's beautiful. It has all type of, this is the Indian head, all type of things on it. Some people will ask, well, is one more valuable than the other? 1 troy ounce of silver is 1 troy ounce of silver. Okay. It might have a numismatic value or a collector's value on it, where people consider it, the people put a higher value on it. But 1 troy ounce of silver is the same as any other troy ounce of silver. As long as it's 0.999 pure 1 troy ounce of silver. On Twitter, they call me the Silver Goddess. When my YouTube channels got shut down, I just took this to Twitter and started talking about silver. I did intel, but most about silver. Then that's how I got the name Silver Goddess. Twitter, it might be Dr. Kier Pruitt again, but it was the Silver Goddess, and it's Silver Goddess on Truth Social. You can take colloidal silver, monoatomic silver, that protects you. It destroys the virus on contact. You can take monoatomic gold, colloidal gold, monoatomic copper, colloidal copper. Monoatomic gold is manna. The same that the scientists say is the same thing. The people that were coming out of Egypt, the children of Israel, when the manna fell from the sky, they say it's the same chemical compound. I don't know if it's chemical, but the same natural resource, the same thing, element. Monoatomic gold. You can get it from the Meta Center. Go to metacenterchicago.com. Dr. Tony Vortex has taken over there. Dr. Delbert Blair was the master metaphysician that taught him everything. Dr. Tony Vortex used to come on our show every Wednesday before one of my last channels got shut down. Wellness Wednesday. Go to Meta Center Chicago. You can at the checkout put in DRKIA 2024, DRKIA 2024. That's when I first started working with them. That's my discount code. Or you can order it online. But I like ordering it from somebody I trust and know who actually, putting all these things together and packaging them themselves. So that's it, family. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for your support and your love, because without you, I don't matter. I would only be of importance to me. My former pastor from Kentucky told us a long time ago, if you say you have a calling, your community should be able to verify it. They should be able to affirm and confirm it. Their spirit should be in alignment with it. Because who are you ministering to anyway? If you're trying to minister to your family and it's just not job and it's just not shaking, it's not resonating, then maybe that particular gift is not just quite it. Yeah, people saying, I'm called to preach, but your words are falling on deaf ears. It's not manifesting and bringing life to anything. Nobody's getting better. Nobody's life's improving. Nobody's vibrations is resonating on the same vibrate. Nobody. In fact, they can't wait to shut you up, not because you're telling the truth, but because you don't know what you're doing. Maybe you need to go sit down and let God and the ancestors and the elders work with you a little bit. Study a little bit harder, but baby, that ain't it. At least not right now. But you know what your purpose and your gift is because you came here doing it. And you love to do it. And then sometimes it's what you catch yourself doing. Like sometimes people catch themselves drawing or making clothes. My granddaughter's been making clothes since she was 2. She started making little clothes for her dolls out of napkins. I was like, that's it. We're going to hone that gift. And now she's doing stuff with needle and thread and making prom dresses for her dolls and wedding dresses and bridal dresses. She's 10 now. My grandson, as a young child, loved planets. He loved talking about planets. He loved reading about uh, geography, different countries. Now he's 8. He can tell you where every country, any country, you'll say, give me a country. I'll name it. He'll tell me where it is, what the resources are, and a lot of things about these countries. And I cultivate that. Our social studies, he's going to learn about our culture first, our family culture and our culture from our bloodline. And then I will have him pick a country, or I'll choose a country. Tell me about the country. What are their customs? What foods do they eat? What are some of their religious traditions? What resources do they have in those countries? How are they doing politically, financially? He's 8, but I saw something in him from the time he was real, real small. Some of you knew what you came here to do, but maybe over time, in order to make money, we were actually taught that our job defined us. And we thought that was our life purpose. Not necessarily so. Whatever it is that you really, really enjoy doing, do it, and do it as often as you can. Whatever you came here to do it courageously, knowingly, and the universe will conspire to assist you. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I trust that I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire. Go out and make this a great day, family. Happy belated Mother's Day. And to all our fathers, we love you and we look forward to blessing you on Father's Day as well. Take care, family. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for the conversation, whether you agree or not, because we're a family. All families don't agree on all points. But as an elder, I'm sharing my perspective. And some of you can even challenge those perspectives because we're all growing and learning together. I love you, family. Peace. Take care. It's been my great pleasure. See you later. Mwah.